So I've never shown this group of fish before, and on our little Facebook group, Guppy, Just Guppies Kansas community, there's been questions about how to selectively breed fish to establish a new line. And I am by no means an expert. In fact, I don't really know anything other than what I've read, and very minimal selecting and maintaining lines, but and watched in other people's videos. So take this with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing kind of my thoughts on how I'm trying to go about it, and I have done some learning on my own and asked other breeders about it, but this is mostly just my thinking on it, and maybe it'll be helpful, but I'm by no means claiming to be a wizard at this, or really even know what I'm doing. I'm just attempting it. So I'm going to explain this tank. It's kind of been a secret project, but I thought since the topic is coming up, I might as well share what I'm trying to do, and maybe that will be helpful. So these fish are actually, believe it or not, Japan blue gold double sword guppies. Now this male here, I had some other males in here. I had 2 pink males. I had this guy, and then I also had a gold-bodied male that had orange spots on him and 2 orange swords. So none of them looked anything like a Japan blue gold double sword. And I pulled them out thinking, well, maybe I can do something with this. And so I had all those males in here with a few random females that were young and unbred out of the colony of Japan blue golds, and then one specific female, and she has a red colored caudal fin. She's in the back here. You can see her right there. So she's got red, and actually there is some blue showing through as well in the tail fin. Now this line doesn't have any red in it normally. I'll show you. The light's already off in this tank. But I'll show you what this line looks like normally. Here is the big colony. You can see the males are gold and blue with double sword, and the females just gold body with no color in the fins at all. That's what these fish came from. They've never been crossed with anything. They just threw some random colors. I've raised many generations out of this line. It breeds totally true, but any line will occasionally throw oddballs, and these are really big oddballs. But I think I can pretty quickly establish a new line with this out of this. At least that's my hope. Unfortunately, I colony breed because I don't have room for each line to have multiple tanks dedicated to it. So it's a little bit slower, but I think it can be done. So this is the male I've chosen to stick with. He's got kind of pink up by his head, a turquoise body with a red dorsal and a red caudal fin. A caudal means the tail fin there. He's also forming like a little spot in his body, you can see. But there is some pink to him as well. So what I'll probably end up doing is naming them like a Japan pink, but we'll see if I even get that far. So these are the random females. I just realized tonight that I should probably pull these, because now I have the original female with red in her tail, and I have, if she would come out, and I have her daughter who has not as much red, but still some red in the tail. Now they had a son as well, and he had some red in the tail too, but he had kind of a platinum body, just not at all what I was looking for. Very washed out, very plain. See, there's one of the females with the red in the tail back there. And so what I'll probably do is pull the random females, leave this guy with his main mate and daughter, and leave the fry in there to grow out and see what they turn into, and basically select down to just him and females with red in the tail until I can get a male that looks very close to him, or much more like him. And basically I'll just keep selecting for this color strain until I get it set. Now that's probably going to take a lot more generations because I'm colony breeding. But you can see there's the female with the red in the tail that I started with. Oh no, that's the new one. Oh, now I can't tell. But she's one of the females with red in the tail. I think that's the original one, yeah. So what I would like to do is keep having this guy breed to this female and then their daughter that has the faintest hint of red in the tail. And so breeding a father back to a daughter back to the father helps speed up this process because you're doubling up on the genes. So I don't know for a fact that he was the dad, but he is the only one that had this kind of a red tail, and this female that just disappeared, there she is, but she's the only one that had that kind of red in the tail. So I think more than likely that's the pair that produced this female that I keep talking about that hasn't come out to show herself. But if you breed the father back to the daughter, you double up on the genes and you improve basically the final result much faster. You can see that pink showing now. See how pink he is? It has to catch the light right, but that's why I'm going to call it a Japan pink. I love that pink color. But anyway, when you take, even though the daughter doesn't have as good of traits as the mom, she carries the dad's traits, I think. And so by breeding her back to dad, I can double up on his genes in her offspring, and so they hopefully will express more traits in common with the dad and with mom. Now it won't be 100% by any means, but it will be better than the last time, which was a very poor male. Which you're going to have poor fish when you're trying to set a new line because you're working with genetics that are not at all set. And then the next generation, I'll weed out anything that is not at least resemblant of these fish, even if it's not exact. And I'll just keep doing that until, and only letting the resembling fish remain in the colony to breed. Something else I'm realizing as I've been colony breeding is you want to keep the colony small. You don't want dozens of females and half dozen males or a dozen males. You want just a couple males, 2 or 3 at most, and just a handful of females, because the genetics get way out of control and you end up with all kinds of variations that you don't want. So I'm learning that. Some lines are set hard enough, like the Japan Blue Golds, that doesn't seem to make a difference. Others, like my Platinum Mosaic Dumbos, are, man, they're getting wild. And I'm gonna have to really cull those down to get a handle on that line again. So that's my plan of action. Take the male that I like the traits of, I was lucky enough to find a female that matched, and I have females from the line that were unbred because they were too young to reproduce yet. So I was able to get what I think were virgin females and get started on that. And yeah, so we'll see what happens. But that's how I would go about it. If I had the tank space, what I would do is take the male and the 2 females with red in the tail, isolate them, have a controlled breeding with those 3, then pull their fry, raise them up separately, select the best, breed them back again to their parents, mainly probably females to dad, and just double up on his genetics and his granddaughters and maybe even his great-granddaughters if he lives that long, and until I get really good results, and then start letting them do sibling pairings. It just basically widen the gene pool just ever so slightly so I don't get too far inbred. But I don't have the tank space for that, so mine's a colony breeding setting. Hopefully this is making sense to folks. But basically, yeah, you just pick the fish that you want to, with the traits you want, or at least closest to what you want, and you breed those, and then you go through their offspring and you select again, and you just do that every generation. And like I say, keep the numbers low, keep only the very best fish, and get rid of the extras. So these these extra females I'm going to be pulling out because they're not really important to the line anymore now that I have 2 females displaying the red tail. Eventually, the goal will be to get females with a fully red tail. Oh, light just turned off. A fully red tail and males that look like this guy. And once I get the males to look this way and the females with a red tail, what I will do, once that's consistent, is I'll start selecting for improvements. So maybe I want to change the shape of the tail, or I want to intensify it, certain colors, or whatever. Once I have, I apologize, I'm filming in the dark now. Once I have them set to where they're producing consistently at least this quality, then I'll try and worry about improving it. But I'm not going to worry about improving on it until I get this look set in the line. And once that happens, then we'll worry about other things. At least that's my philosophy. Those are my instincts when it comes to breeding. It's not that I am not at all an expert, but that's just what my mind leans towards and what I try to do. Hopefully that's helpful. I'll quit filming these fish in the dark, and I guess I'll share with you guys again next time I have some time.